tragedy in Thousand Oaks. That was awful news that we heard, and certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and the friends of those affected with that. So, that was just a terrible thing. So, okay, now I'm ready.
Wiz, with the way that you're running the football now, how does that help the entire offense and just kind of give the offense, I guess, a mentality when you start games?
I think our linemen always, that group, when you have success running the football, they feel good, and that's important. I mean, let's face it, it's much easier to run block than it is to drop back and pass protect on some of these guys. So it makes it a lot easier for the rest of us when we want to throw it, because they don't get mad because we haven't run it enough. But I think probably the most important thing is maybe it makes us a little bit more versatile. When you have a credible threat in the run game, it helps you. It helps you oftentimes in the play action game where we've hit some of our big shots. Plus, it keeps you moving the chains a little bit easier when you have second and shorter situations, or you're getting chunks like we're getting in the run game. It's good for us, but I think also it's a little bit harder for defenses when you do that. Because it's not easy to run the ball in this league, and our guys have been doing a good job with it up front, and we've had a number of different guys that are contributing. It's not just the running backs, it's the receivers, it's a lot of guys. So, yeah, I think it has really helped us.
Is Melvin running more violent than maybe he did years past?
I think he kind of picked up where he left off last year. He's getting better and better, and he's always, to me, Eric, been a pretty violent runner. I think what he's really doing a great job with is ball security and how he's finishing off some of these runs. And I think, the scheme, he's obviously more comfortable. And listen, you got to give credit to those guys up front. They're doing a good job. So there was a couple holes in the game last week that were big that you maybe could have run through. I don't think you would have gotten quite the distance, but you could have gotten through it. But no, I don't think so.
Wiz, mentally, when you're able to run as effectively as you guys have during this winning streak, how does that give confidence to the rest of the team? Because big pass plays, yeah, they give a lift, but when you're able to dominate a team in a rush game, it seems like it carries through to everyone.
It's good. I mean, there have been a couple of games where we haven't run it as great, and we've compensated for that with the pass game. We've thrown it. I think we've had a good mix, but that's one of the things, like I said, in this league, it's not always easy to do. And it's a credit to our running backs and to our line. And, it does. It gives you a lift. When you hit a couple of runs, when you break out for, a 10-yard gain, it does. It gives you a little, I hate to say it, so cliche, it gives you a little pep in your step, and I think that's a good thing.
Just Oakland held you to 59 yards, held Melvin to 59 yards. What was the big thing that they were doing in the first meeting?
They played well. They did a good job against us. I mean, they played very aggressive. They were physical. They did a nice job against us. And, that's happened to us a couple times this year where we haven't been as effective as we would like to have been running the football. And hopefully we can, we work every week trying to put together a plan that we feel like is a good attack against our opponent, and hopefully we can execute it. But, I have a lot of respect for the way those guys played us. I mean, 4 minutes left in the second quarter, it's 3-3. We hadn't done much. We hit a couple of runs early, but it was tough after that. So, that's something obviously that we'd like to do better, but they did a nice job against us.
What have you seen from their run defense up front with like Hall and Hurst? What have you seen from them?
They played it well. They're big. They're physical guys. They play their technique well. They anchor well. And if you're not good with your technique, if you're not good with your double teams, if you're not good with your technique steps on these guys, first of all, it's hard to move them, and second of all, they can get off blocks. So Hurst especially, he's a good young player that's quick, has some quick lateral movement, and that is always working. So, and they've always had a good group of guys behind that could run. Their backers, they always seem like they're fast and they're big and they can move. So, sometimes against those kind of fronts, you've got to be really precise in what you're doing and how you attack it. And, sometimes you have success and sometimes you don't. We ran it early in the game last time. We had a couple of runs early, but, it certainly wasn't great after that.
And I feel like I think Phil's averaging 12.9 yards per attempt on play action, which is absurd. It's the best in the league. you guys are still like 21st in how often you use it. Is there a reason you're reticent to kind of adopt it more wholesale when you think there's kind of a limit of how much it works within your offense?
You talking about the deep balls and play action?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's really just kind of a feel. Every game's a little bit different. Sometimes, you know, it's what you're incorporating with your runs. You know, you'd like to run it every time, but you do have to run it some just so that some of that works. I think what happens too a lot of times is, you know, we'll have maybe a check to get out of it if it's not the right look. And when we're fortunate and you got a quarterback like Phillip that can do those kind of things, then sometimes that will take you out of it.
Phil's number one in passing the tight windows, but he's also basically taking what the defense gives him instead of being maybe more aggressive than he was early in his career. How much of a balancing act is that, though?
Well, when you got some guys that are doing a good job underneath, you know, like you got Melvin and Austin. I mean, Austin's made some big plays when he's thrown the checkdowns too, and so has Melvin. And, you know, our tight ends and even some of the schemes that we use are underneath schemes where we're getting them to shallows or quick routes underneath. But, you know, he does a great job with that. You know, I think one of the things is you say he always gets rid of it quick, but a lot of it's progression-based in what we're trying to do when we attack a defense. I think, you know, one of the best things about what we've done, and I'm not talking about our team, is having to go against Gus in that defense. And, you know, we spend all spring and summer trying to figure out ways that we can get things to be successful because it's so competitive against our guys. And I really think that helps us in preparation for the season. You know, you're talking about different defenses, but just the idea of how we're going to approach the plan that week. And, you know, sometimes those things work out. We called quite a few of them in the game last week, and we didn't get the look. And we threw it underneath or checked it down. And then there's a couple, like if you think back to Cleveland, where, shoot, we threw those two bombs back to back. You know, that did work. So it's every week is different. A lot of it is based off of how they're playing us. But, you know, it's because our guys, you know, I think it's because we're able to be flexible because our guys are smart. They're able to line up in different spots. We can do different things with them. And we got a quarterback that can make it work. So, you know, hopefully we can keep going with it.
Is that balance something you still talk about with Phillip regularly, or is that something that by now, I mean, it's kind of second nature?
Well, we've been doing it so long, you know, this kind of type thing that it's just kind of what we are. So, you know, I think we all are trying to achieve the same thing and trying to create balance. And, you know, hopefully we can continue with that. Thanks, guys.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to start off by saying, you know, as an organization, as a staff, the players, we're deeply saddened by the news that came out this morning about Thousand Oaks. So our thoughts and prayers are with the loved ones and the victims. Just a sad, sad tragedy. And the first responders, I know my dad was a highway patrolman, so whenever you see situations like that where they're involved, you come to appreciate things that take place and how important those people are. So just want to make sure I address that first. Secondly, the Raiders, they're doing some good things offensively. You see it in spurts. You know, like the Indianapolis game. I think when you look at Carr, I think he completed 16 or 17 passes in a row. And they had the ability to put up a lot of points, just like you've seen throughout the season. So I think the key to them is when they get into a rhythm and they're rolling, they come in bunches. Yards come in bunches, and, you know, his accuracy, I think he's still the second leading quarterback as far as completion percentage in the league. So you see the accuracy, you see the timing, you see the rhythm, and they have some good skilled players. So that part of it is, we all understand that. The running game is a little bit different than with Marshawn. So it's more of it by committee, although Martin, you see, and I know how strongly they feel about him. They feel like he is really a franchise franchise type running back, and you see him on tape do some really good things as well. So the big thing for them is once they build a rhythm and confidence and they get rolling, it can take off really quickly. So that's the challenge with us. We go into every game, stopping the run is very important to us, and try to eliminate some of these big plays that are going on. I think last week we did a better job with that coming out of the bye week, and this week will be no different.
Gus, will Mike start at corner again, and what went into that decision to make the switch with him and Trevor?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, it wasn't that Trev was playing bad. He was doing some good things. I think when we watch practice and you try to reward guys with opportunities when you see it on the practice field. And Michael's a guy that we've seen it on the practice field week in and week out where he's being very competitive, and we felt like he needed a chance to play. He's rolled in some games prior to last week, but last week we gave him the opportunity to start.
Will he start again?
Yeah.
How much of that, I know in the preseason you guys talked about wanting to increase his physicality. How much of that was due to his improvements in that area?
I think is a big part of it. That's the felt like, his flat-out speed is elite. He's got really good speed. I think the toughness on the perimeter and the corner, we ask a lot of our corners as far as getting involved in the run game, and that part we didn't see as consistently as we needed. Michael's the type of guy that would put together his tackling tape and then come in and sit with the coaches and say, all right, let's go through this. So I think he identified that it was a weakness on his part and really tried to attack it because he felt like he probably won't get on the field unless he improves there. And then we saw it on special teams. We saw his toughness and his ability to make plays on special teams, and it kind of filtered over into the defensive side. So he's becoming a more consistent, willing tackler.
Gus, how did you feel he played against the Steelers?
He did good. He gave up the deep one, but even the last play, he competed. He fought all the way through, and that play, I think, best shows what he's all about, what we've seen in practice. There might be times where he wasn't quite on top in the perfect situation, but he competed all the way through the end of the play, just like that play that took place.
What kind of evolution in terms of what Dez has been able to do from last year to this year have you seen him?
Yeah, Dez is very unique to us because of his ability. He's playing a little bit more man coverage now for us, and he's taken on that. But he is a guy that at times when you look at coverage, we had conversation as coaches. Sometimes when you play things so much, when you watch on tape, there's tweaks that take place. The players know it so well that they do different things. And it looks like, I don't know if that's single high safety, zone coverage. But they know it so well, and they can anticipate. And we're starting to see more of that with Dez, where he's anticipating and he's making plays. There's a couple plays that took place in the game that it wasn't really his responsibility, but he identified it and played a pass and eliminated a big play for us. So I think he's becoming more versed in the defense. He understands it. We're challenging more with more man coverage, and that's the next step for him.
Is he more consistent than he was his rookie year?
Yes. He's always been a physical type player, a tackler, a guy that can tackle in place, in space, and then, some of our principles that we use in our zone coverages. But I think the evolution where it's more consistent and having more awareness, I think might be the biggest, statement for him.
One more on Dez. You're not using him as much as a blitzer because of Derwin, I'm assuming. So are you finding other ways to keep him involved?
Yeah, that's not. I think that will continue. He is a good blitzer, so I think in different packages based on the week that team that we're going against, we'll utilize their skill set. He is a good blitzer, so I wouldn't say that he won't ever blitz again.
Looking big picture, Oakland lost Khalil Mack and sort of lost their pass rush. You guys lose Joey Bosa, but figure out a different way. How did you figure out how to get that pass rush without your top line guy?
Well, I think, a big credit, I think with us, we were struggling with the run initially, and Gift did a great job as far as personnel placement. I think you see that Square is playing a lot more end for us, and I think that has helped tremendously. And then the evolution of Chenna, getting him involved. So, in our situation, we have some players. Now it's just positioning him. in opportunities to make plays. And I think a lot of credit goes to Giff with that and the players being flexible enough. And that started way back in OTAs. We kind of drafted Chenna with that in mind, that he could play an outside linebacker and a rusher. And because of injuries, he's just getting more reps now. So, yeah, I think, Derwin's rushed, Jaleel rushed and got a sack. So I think you got to be creative and, do some different things to help your rush.
Got 6 picks over to the last 3-4 games. How much can that be attributed to improvement in the pass rush?
Rush and cover, that's our saying. Rush and cover work together. So if you can affect the quarterback and force some bad decisions, last week was a huge play because not only interception, we talk in terms of the defense that we're defined by our ability to get the ball and score. It's not just by our ability to get the ball, but it's more of that mindset. Third down, hey, we're looking to get a third down stop. No, we're looking to get the ball. It's more that mentality. So I think that mentality the players have really bought into. I think the ability to get some pressure and then the coverage being tight enough to where you have opportunities to make plays.
How much does it help your defense in terms of confidence to be able to go to a place like Seattle, be on the field, and finish out a game like that?
Well, in our meetings, we talk always in terms of we need this game. We need to go to Cleveland and stay there for a week and then go to London. We need this experience. We need this to take place with us. Okay, now we come back. Hey, we need to go up to Seattle. We need this experience, what this is going to bring to us in going up and playing a very good team in a hostile environment. So let's go see, can we amp it up and play to that level? And now we're coming back. No, we need this game too because, hey, it's another road game for us in a hostile environment, and we need to play better. We need some areas that we need to improve on. So it's that mindset that we really need these opportunities to help us get where we want to go.
As a defensive coordinator, could you, last 2 weeks with last plays, different situations, what's harder for you to game plan against when it's at the 2 or kind of Seattle when it's at the 6?
Boy, that's a good question. I mean, you hope that you're not in those situations at the end of a game in either one of them. But, I think by team it's different, and really what their philosophy is going into it. You look at first and second down, you look at third down the red zone, and then towards the end of the week you look at gotta-have-it situations. It might be, hey, it's 4th and 4 on the 50-yard line, and it's, what's your call? What are you going to be in? And, I think our staff, we look at those situations throughout, and we move right down the field in doing that. And there's been some situations that, hey, it's the last play of the game on the 20. It's the last play of the game on the 6. It's the last play of the game on the 1, and go through that. Now, I mentioned last week that Anthony puts us in those situations in practice, which I've never been a part of. I thought that was great. You did it in OTAs and training camp, but during the season. So I think the guys can recall from being in those situations, and again, it allows them to play fast like, we've been here. We just had this situation in practice. Now let's go do what we do. And it's more of that mentality.
Anything else?
Okay? All right, thank you.